We're definitely going to be giving you the papers to review this morning. My name is Ajuluchukwu Okabe, and I'm not alone. I'm here with Chidinma Oranwa.
Good morning, Anambra. Glad to have you today for the Thursday's edition of Good Morning Anambra, our breakfast TV show. Welcome aboard.
And what we have to go with first is Anambra website review. The papers that we have.
Okay, before we do that, sorry, Ajulu, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we introduce our guest who has seated right here in the studio this morning.
The gentleman we have as guest this morning for press review is Ejike Me Onochukwu, who is a public affairs analyst. You're welcome.
Good morning.
And also we have Sir Jerry Obodo, who also is a public affairs analyst. Sir Jerry, welcome.
Yeah, good to be here. Nigerians, please be with us.
And quickly, without wasting much of your time, let us go to Anambra State website to bring you the topics that we have for discussion this morning. The first we have is Anambra State Albinism Association seeks inclusion, equal opportunity. And next is child labor stakeholders call for collective action to tackle challenges. And last but not the least, Anambra State government approves introduction of healthy living with Noye Soludo in schools. Well, that's a welcome development there. Sir Jerry, which of these would you definitely want to talk about? But then before we talk, Anambra State Albinism Association seeks inclusion and equal opportunity. And what's your take on that?
Yeah, my take on that is, they are product of God's creation. Like every other person, it's just, that particular color and some, problem that go with it. But otherwise, there's no point for anybody to segregate between who is albinism and who is not. So, I'm calling for all inclusiveness for everybody. And I'm also, saying that people should not discriminate between the albinism and who is not. And whatever it takes for them to function well, I call on the well-meaning individuals and government to please, come to their aid. I know that they are prone to cancer. They have eye problems. So people will, and governments should do well to provide the necessary things to make them included.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ejike, what do you see with Anambra State government's approval of introduction of healthy living in our schools?
Well, two things actually. From the government, the issue of child labor, and then the issue of healthy living. Basically, there is nothing called child labor if not poverty. No rich man's child is laboring. Again, there is nothing called child labor if not what? Poverty. Because no rich man's child is out there hawking. So, child labor has one solution. Deal with the issue of poverty so that children will not have to work to support families.
What about the area of exploitation?
Again, exploitation happens where sometimes there is a collapse in the home system. Let me tell you, what is the chance that I can exploit the governor's child? What is the likelihood that I can exploit Dangote's son? What on a scale of 1 to 100? So it's still people. It is people who are the low echelon of society that gets exploited. When such expectation happens at that high level, something maybe must have gone wrong, but the chances are likely very, very low. So for me, the problem with the Nigerian society about child labor, about children hawking, about out-of-school children, about all of this drama, is that there is poverty in the land. And the people in power have no clear direction about how to pull Nigerians out of poverty. Provided we don't do it, everything we are doing in social about child labor, this one. We'll get nowhere. Okay, you take them out of the street and take them where? To a concentration camp and then feed them, they still get exploited. In fact, to take somebody out of the street and keep him somewhere against his will is in itself a problem, if not exploitation. Because even his right to move around is being restrained. So it returns back to the issue of poverty, end to end. So my question is, what is the federal government? What is the state government? What is the local government? What are communities doing? What are families doing?
Families too, yeah.
What are families doing to get their people out of poverty? In fact, you can walk into a family, maybe they have Okonkwo, and there are 4 or 5 prominent Okonkwas, and then another Okonkwo that is begging. Such things exist in our villages. You see children who are in the village, they can't write WAEC, they can't do anything, they're packing sand, and they have uncles who are very rich. Maybe their father struggled land in 1980. And then there's an enmity that will not go away. So it's a mix of things. So that's why I look at it. Let's deal with poverty.
Okay, still on the issue of parents, I think they should also be careful of the kind of number of children they bring.
That's the area I want to
Because if you know that you cannot take care of a child, I don't see the need for you to start conceiving and having children. At the end of the day, if you ask some of them, I say, "Chuku guys." So let's quickly go back to our first
family
paper.
planning.
Yes, our first paper, that's the National Light newspaper and the Core Data. Let's quickly start with the National Light newspaper this morning. Anambra leads Nigeria in maths contest. And that's a big story in front of the National Light newspaper. We still have up there, Naira crashes to 755 Naira per dollar, sends jitters in market. Tinubu suspends EFCC chair indefinitely. NAFDAC raid, 4 feared dead, man injured in Aba market stampede. Petrol dealers in Anambra support government. This is coming from IPMA. Daughter rescued from father's torture chamber in Oka. Nigeria faces 1.7 million pints of blood shortage yearly. Debt toll rises to 106 in Kwara Boat disaster. 27 million Nigerians lack telecom access. This is coming from the federal government. Labour Party, INEC clash at Presidential Election Tribunal. Flat drowns man ahead wedding. And then Core Data newspaper. Soludo Ekwelankwa is in Mekorita Ochiche Yanandi Omiwu Anambra. Anambra Ekwelankwa imemila nsogbu nchekwa na iju mmiri. Gọọmenti etikpọla ụlọ arụgasịrị ebe ezighị ezi na Mkpọ na Ọba. Okay, these are the stories trending in the front pages of the National Light newspaper and the Core Data. Jerry.
Yeah, first of all, to say we have done it again, the Anambra way, in copying tops in the competition that was held for maths, So I commend the students that went for the competition. I commend the government of Anambra State. I commend all the Anambras. We have done it again. We have done it before. I, give them thumbs up. It goes to show how the school system is working. Both the private sector owned, schools, and the government owned, competing. It's a welcome development. So I say kudos to, the students that went for the competition.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
GK, let's quickly look at that story of Naira depreciation. Of course, we are seeing the digits, 755 Naira per dollar in the parallel markets now.
The issue of the Naira is not actually new. You know, nothing is new in Nigeria. It's just that the change from bad to worse is too quick. But I don't really think, okay, what were you expecting? Let me just say this to us. Nigerians out there should tighten their belt. Because petroleum subsidy is gone. Prices are flying high. Now the dollar and the Naira are playing this kind of game. So things are going further up. Wages are not rising. There's no palliative in town for anything. The production sector is not doing well. So put all of this together. Where does it lead us? The purchasing power of the average Nigerian will keep going down against earnings and price of things in the market. So what do we do? For me, I don't want to delve into what the impact of the economy will be. We all know. But what will be the impact on the average Nigerian? And what does he need to do to ensure survival? One, do things because you absolutely need that. I think at this point we need to sit down again to our basic economics to look at the concept of need and wants. For the first time, that economics lesson will start to make sense. So you sit down and define, ask yourself, me and my wife, do we truly need 2 cars? Because before, fuel was 18 naira, 100 naira. So both of you can afford to be riding 2 cars. So at this point, that fuel is 600. In fact, I even heard it's going to 1,000. God forbid. Do you both of you really need 2 cars? So by the time you sit down and look at the matrix, you could find out that truly 1 car could serve both of you. You do with the other one. So this kind of recalibration needs to happen in families. Even in organizations. You have a company, and then you have this big lister that you burn every day. Question. Look at this, your profit margin. Do you truly need this big lister? The answer will end up being no. You go and buy a smaller one, run it when you need to, and move on. So all of the things we do, because the economics allows us, we need to sit down right now and do the first SACA we had was the structural adjustment program.
Yeah.
That was the very first, that was the original SACA. So we need to return back to that SACA and restructure the way we live. If not, if you don't do it and you're on fixed income, people will run into debt.
But then the presidency should take a cue from that. You're talking about a family with 2 cars, reducing it to 1. But you can see the convoy of what the state governors and the president, ministers, and the rest of them. So,
my brother, let me help you.
I do want to go into that.
My brother,
He's trying to help the masses.
Okay.
Because the hypertension and the BP, it will be rising if you don't take care of what he said. The government is there; they are from the same country. They think of themselves.
So they have the wherewithal to go with 100 fleet vehicles. Yes. No problem. Quickly, let us go to the next paper we have for review this morning, which is the Daily Sun. And on the banner headline there, we're saying Tinubu's hammer falls again, smashes EFCC chairman, orders probe of Bauer, director of operations, to act. Then you see the picture there of the Senate president of the 10th Assembly shaking hands with the former Chief Whip, Obji's Okalu there. Just like we rightly said in the last paper, Naira falls 755 Naira per dollar as FG gives bank power to decide Forex rate. And the rider there says, anxiety over liberalization of FX market. Gunmen abduct 7 University of Jos students. That's there on the Daily Sun. And Obi, INEC lawyers clash over summons on Yakubu. The Kwara boat mishap, Tinubu orders probe on debt as tolls rises to 106. NMDPR marketers meet to avert petrol scarcity. And the rider there says, we are cash-strapped, says Nogasa. Labour vows to push for immediate salary award to lessen effect of subsidy removal. That's on page 2 of the Daily Sun. FG mours autonomy for public varsities as disbursement of student loan begins September. Bandits attack mourners, kidnap policeman, 2 others in Benue. Nigeria, India to block pipeline of illicit drug flow as NDLEA, NCB sign MOU. That's on page 4. And reps declare Bajamia's seat vacant. And Tinubu signs into law data protection bill. And that's all we have on the Daily Sun this morning. Well, this issue of, what will I talk about? The view of salary increments, you understand, review by the government, you understand, to lessen effect of the subsidy. What's your take on that, AGK?
Well, there are 2 things there. Okay, let me begin from the picture. For me, this there is full of stories. I like that picture there. Our brother, our own dear brother, Satoji Zakalo. I like him, and on a very lighter note, they have told him that Nigeria is not for him. You know, I watched him at the plenary, and I felt for him. You know, at the participation of the Senate, where he was crying, oh, how they put him in prison, how he was a good man. Well, please help me tell him that it is not our turn to be president of the Senate. It is actually nobody's turn. The Senate has made a decision in Gospel Akpabio. And I'm glad he's congratulating him. Next time, when it becomes our turn, it will get to him. Now, on the issue of salary increment, you know why I like Nigeria? There's, okay, so I tell you, Igbo. It's already in mmadụ ihe. Ikpe mmanụ n'aka. Chie n'ọnụ. Ọ ghara ese na inye ekwu ya. You raise fuel because the transport sector, the energy sector, controls virtually everything going on. You raise that sector and the cost there by above 100%. I get my point?
Yeah.
And then propose a 10% or 15% or 20% increment in wages. It's called fraud. Do you hear me, sir? It's called what? Fraud, Ocean. That you raise one thing this way. And then to balance what you have raised like this, you do this one like this. I say, we have balanced it. Is that a balance?
Well, not in my own estimation.
That's where we are. You understand?
Okay, let's go back to you. Let's look at the big story in the front page of the Sun. Tinubu's hammer falls again and is smashing the EFCC chairman. Well, he has orders Prabhu Bawa, Director of Operations, to act.
Yeah, well, you know, Nigeria, you really can't, place your hand on any, somebody who is given an appointment, sometimes the person who appoints will want him to always dance to his tune. He will not give him free hand to operate. Sometimes, like this EFCC, they use the office and the man in charge to hunt opposition or people that they perceive as their enemies. And over time, the man, they appointed may also do certain things that is contrary to their wishes. And by that time, problem will start. That's what is playing out in this EFCC. You see, the other man that was there, he had a problem with them. The other one had a problem, and this one had a problem. What is happening? So the system is so, the corruption is very, very high. It's on a high level. And sometimes the EFCC man himself, they also take law into their own hand. If they get the looted money, they cannot account for it. You see, so that's all the problem they have in that office. So I'm not leaving the office, and whatever, if they think they have anything against the man, since he has suspended him, let them do whatever they want to do, investigate, and let's see how it goes. Sometimes after investigation, where does it end? You don't really know what exactly happened. It's either they do pre-bargaining, na padi.
All right, let's go back to the National Star newspaper this morning. We're talking about the fall of Naira. Naira to hit 800 Naira per dollar as CBN liberalizes FX market. Bank gets CBN note to sell at market determine the rate. FX rate liberalization will boost the economy and attract FDI. This is coming from experts. BDC operators fed business and job. Students' loan. The federal government set September 2023 for commencement of disbursement. Election petition, Obi INEC clash over witness summons on Yakubu. 50% of Nigerian children engaged in child labor, says another government. Tinubu signs data protection bill into law. Court admits statisticians' report in articles petition against Tinubu. Insecurity, give us time to work things out, APC tells Amnesty International. And then we can still see the suspension of Bauer. Then 10th Senate begins sitting at John's plenary till July 4th. Kwara boat mishap, death toll hits 106. This is coming from the police. And finally, subsidy removal, all marketers more fuel importation.
There are several things on this National Star.
A lot of stories.
A lot of stories. Now,
Interesting ones.
let me take one quick dip at the EFCC story, then I'll talk about something else.
Okay,
now, the EFCC, let us assumption, that the EFCC chairman has done something wrong. Assumption. Somebody has always supervised him. Malami, the Minister of Justice, oversees what happens in the EFCC. Mr. Bauer reports to a commander-in-chief. And so we can, if something wrong is going there, we cannot isolate Mr. Bauer and say, okay, Malami has done nothing wrong. The president who authorizes the operations there, and this guy believes this president day in, day out. Just like what's happening with the CBN governor, Mr. Befele. Mr. CBN governor went on a cash swap, whatever he did, with somebody's approval. Whether he did it right or wrong, somebody okayed what he has done. So if we are saying that Emefiele or Mr. Bauer have acted ultra-virus, he acted that way, or they acted that way, with somebody's consent and approval, acting under somebody's supervision. In fact, in law, dereliction of duty is an offense. I'm supposed to supervise you, and then I allow you break this light, break this camera, and ruin this place. I am as guilty as you are. I get my point. Not as I'm in my house, though, but if I'm supposed to be your supervisor, and I allow you ruin this studio, you are guilty, I am guilty. That's the way it should, because there should be responsibility across board. So if we are saying that Mr. Bauer has been doing the wrong things, all those big allegations that has been going on there, it means the people who are supposed to supervise him were not doing it.
They didn't do that.
Or they were part of the cartel. And so they off their microphone. When Mr. Bauer was doing the things he was doing, they chose to off their microphone. That's my take about that. So the president has all the right on earth to investigate anybody that has done anything wrong. And I agree with him, he should investigate. And when we start investigating, and the people who should oversee him, people who should tell him stop, you're doing the wrong thing, who all kept quiet, who are part of the collusive silence that happened and things went down the drain. Everybody should go in. If we do anything short of it, then we are simply sacrificing the boy.
The CBN governor says when he starts mentioning names, that's also Gata. So maybe during the investigation, you mention these names. You are
Thank you very much. Because what would happen with Mago?
This Bauer.
We say, oh, Mago has done this. Oh, Mago has done that. Oh, Mago has done this. Oh, Mago has done this. Today, where is Mago? Is Mago in jail? No. Has any court of competent jurisdiction convicted Mago? No. So has Mago really done anything wrong legally? No. So why did we remove Mago? If Mago has done something wrong and we are not prosecuting him, why are we not prosecuting him? Is it because prosecuting him will also mean prosecuting other people?
Okay.
Well, the president now, since he's out of the way, he will put somebody who he wants to put. Let them go and do the investigation.
And that is why we were where we were.
Yes.
Okay. So which one would you want to talk about on the National Star? Should we start with the student loan? Federal government just, they say that the disbursement will kickstart in September this year. I mean, you're aware that he has signed the bill.
Into law, yes.
Into law, yes.
The funny thing is that I'm thinking, starting by September, does it mean that they've collated names of the people that they're going to give it to?
I think that's why they're giving that time.
They are giving the time.
So they can generate all those
in
this
right?
June.
So we still have like 3 months before then.
They can get it done.
What's your take on that?
My take, on the face value, is a good thing. It's a good thing, but this time they did palliatives and all that. The lady who was in charge of finance and whatever, this humanitarian something, most of the money they disbursed, didn't get to the people. They appropriated the money, either with fictitious names and all that. So, on the face value, like I said, is a very good thing. They should come up with a template. Who are we, really giving the loans? What is the terms? Is it repayable on what, duration? So all these things should be streamlined, and the template will be there to anybody to actually know the direction they are going, where is the money being sourced from, and all that. So, like I said, it's a good thing. It's done in advanced climes where, they do that. So that's my take on that.
Let's move over to the newspaper we have this morning, The Punch.
The Punch, the banner headline there, private sector economists back CBN, Naira falls to 664 Naira per dollar, that's currency floating. And the writer there says that CBN allows bank to sell dollar at own price, removes cap on exchange rate. Economists, analysts worry over central bank capacity to stabilize exchange rate. And then you see the picture there, Lagos police brutalized strip lady over cultism allegation. And then Tinubu suspends EFCC. We've seen there chair indefinitely, others probe. Student loan disbursement, we just read about that. President projects 500,000 jobs with data protection law. That's coming from the presidency there. And then prosecutes justice Bolkachawa's husband, NBA tells FG. Tinubu mourns 106 Kwara boat accident victims, 114 rescued. No division in Akeredolu's cabinet, states says, and I think that's much of what we have there. But then, Lagos police brutalized strip lady over courtism. Man, this picture doesn't look too. It looks kind of sordid to me, you know. Ejike, what do you have to say about this? Police brutalization.
When things like this have made it to the front line of the punch, this way, justice will be served. I would have been worried if this happened and nobody saw it. If it happened, like it has happened, and somebody has seen it, and this thing has found its way to the front line of the punch, my brother, justice will be served. The worst thing you do about an offense is hide it. If something wrong happens and it gets hidden, that's a problem. But if it makes its way
to a banner headline like this,
you can be rest assured that people who should know already know. That's one. Number two, the matter with Justice Bukashawa. You see, who the gods want to kill, they first make mad. Our brother, Senator Bukashawa, made a confessional statement on the floor of the Senate. You know, Justice Bukashawa, the wife used to be president of the appeal court. And the guy said, while he was talking, that you see, that would be, I've been influencing my wife to use the court process to help
my friends.
You know, I'm holding my heart. And he didn't say this in his bedroom. He didn't say this in a beer parlor. He said this on the floor of the Senate. And what did Mr. Senate President do? He told him, as usual, to off his microphone. He said, distinguished senator, I don't think that route you are going is a good one. And then, because we are crazy in this country, a statement of this nature finished happening. And everybody is moving on. How dare you say? What audacity you have to say that you influence a justice of the Court of Appeal, the president of the court, to give judgment in favor of your friends. In fact, if you say that in some nations, right from that place, Akanabo, only one in the influence, Akanabo, and we may need to start a probe of every judgment you delivered in your lifetime, including where you were lead judge, where you were member of the panel, and in fact, it's not just the ones you deliver. Because if I am justice of the appeal court, if a court is in another judge's court, I can also reach out to, if your colleague is here, and then a matter is on her table, and maybe it is my wife, I can tell her, and I'm going to find a way to do it. If a matter is also on your table, and both of you are colleagues, I can also reach you through her. So this kind of thing exposes, it is one statement too big. It is one statement too, it is.
What even prompted that?
My brother.
That confession.
Who the gods want to kill?
You were just being careless with words.
Who the gods
prompted it?
Maybe he wanted to use it to seek favor.
No. I think he was trying to thank his colleagues, talk about how he has been a very good senator, how he has helped his colleagues, how they are brothers. Our brother wrote us a Korocha through a joke at Ahmed Lawan. These are these kind of things. He said, Oga, I want to thank you that two of us, we are running for president at Ego Square. And finally, you're back as a senator. And how you did it is another chapter in our political history. Because you remember, Amelawan ran for president. Gossip Abio ran for president. Dave Umahi ran for president. After which they all lost to Tinubu. And somehow, by miracle or magic,
Yeah.
Amelawan is back in the Senate. Dave Umahi is back in the Senate. Abio is heading the Senate. And Paul Rochas, just like our friend Paul Zakalo, is wondering, how did these people now make it back here? Because we all were running for president. So maybe there is a Bukachawaran going on in our cause. No, there's a principle of Bukachawa. A Bukachawaran that happens in the legal system where somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody talks to somebody that knows talks to somebody, and then, on technical grounds, we can say, you see, that you submitted that petition 12 noon on a Friday. And because the technicality of the green pen should be blue pen, this matter is summarily dismissed. That is called the principle of I didn't say anything.
That's the reason why the MBA is calling for the prosecution of Justice Bukachowa's wife. Because if not, that's going to be a big dent.
It's very, very unfortunate that such things.
Okay, so let's also look at that story in the front page of Punch, where the president is projecting 500,000 jobs with data protection law. I mean, when I read that out to you, you smiled. So I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Hi. See, 500,000 jobs.
That's a big one, a huge one.
Talk is cheap. My brother, my sister, talk. Cheap. There could be jobs. Yes. How did we arrive at 500,000?
Probably they've done their mathematics.
Really? Okay. So well. Okay. Let's believe them. Are you saying to me that 1 year, 2 years from today, we will have 500,000 Nigerians working?
Unemployed, working, yes?
By virtue of this law. Protection law. Are you saying that 2 years from now we can bring up 500,000 Nigerians working on account of this law? If I place you on oath in a court, will you swear to it?
I wasn't there where they do the mathematics. So all we need to do is just to believe him.
Like I said, I believe him.
Play out, okay?
It's hope.
I believe him.
Why I say it's
we need hope.
And,
yes, I believe him.
I think, you have to, like I said, you don't need to just come out with enthusiasm and make pronouncement, only they tend to cause some problem. That the fuel subsidy is gone. It could have been packaged in a better way. You can see the problem that has caused. One is the Dangote refinery is not yet up and running, where you hope to get a substantial quantity of fuel for domestic use. Two, the refineries you have in Nigeria is not working. Three, the subsidy was covered in the budget for this year up to end of June. Why do you make that statement? You should have, taken into cognizance in all this before. So that could happen to these 500,000 jobs. Just making statements, that you want to make people, believe that you are getting something.
All right. Having said that, let's quickly see what we have on the front pages of the Daily Independent and This Day newspaper this morning. Exchange rate unification nears our CBN free float naira. Currency sells for 755 per dollar. Danger ahead, analysts warned. And then Air Peace chairman asks Tinubu to disband National Carrier Project. Marketers cry out over differentials to NNPC after subsidy removal. Then down there, government abducts 7 UniJoy students. Anger as oil spills sacks 300 fishermen in Rivers community. Court asks to stop EFCC from probing Ganduje over dollar videos. And then we can still see down there, CSOs ask Tinubu to arrest ex-minister Madlami and others. Over to this day newspaper. CBN abolishes multiple exchange rate transaction now to hold on INE window X rate. Subsidy removal, petrol price war imminent as NMDPRA begins licensing of more oil importers. Senate resumes legislative activities adjourned till July 4th. And then, what else do we have there? Ambode marks a 3 years anniversary in style. You can see his picture in the front page of this day newspaper. So these are the stories trending on the both papers that we've read out, talking about Daily Independent and this day.
There's a hidden story in that Daily Independent about Air Peace asking tribute to disband the national carrier. You know, on the day Buhari was supposed to leave, we unveiled a national carrier. Did we? I had Senator Hadi Sirika, the former Minister of Aviation, talking about how that thing was done. And, you know, sometimes you're not sure if there's a national carrier. You're not sure if there's none. It boiled down that perhaps somebody chartered a plane, branded it, you know. In fact, it is not very clear to Nigerians if truly there is something on ground running called Nigerian Air. There is so much haziness.
Apart from the haziness, there was even a press conference that people came, partners to this business. We saw people from the Arab world. They were there in that conference there in Abuja and everything like that. The whole gala and everything. So coming to tell us that this thing was more like a smoke screen. It's still what bewilders me.
There is so much unanswered question about the issue of Nigerian Air. Question now becomes, is there Nigerian Air? Are there aircrafts, offices, something running
How many were secured?
called Nigerian Air?
Or is it the Ethiopian
Or they cannot, didn't E or didn't it not? Or they cannot draw. So, if Nigerian Air is existing and is functional, then there's no need scrapping it. If the tree is there and it's working, why fix it if it's not broken? I get the point. If it's not there, then there's nothing to even scrap. You get the point. If it's there and it's working, then there's no need scrapping it. If just like this ABS now is there, it's working. Why are we going to scrap it? Why are we going to scrap it? If it doesn't exist, then it's not existence. You know? It goes away.
There's no point calling for scrapping when it is not there.
Let's see the story in the front page of this day. Talking about this subsidy removal, petrol price war imminent as NMDPRA begins licensing of more oil importers. And then we have a rider there saying that they vow to protect Nigerians from exploitation.
Like I mentioned earlier, these people in the government or who are in charge of all these things, I think the cabal mentality is still not gone with them. What is happening to you refining in Nigeria? To take your crude oil abroad, refine with dollar and naira exchange, bring the masses still suffering. What will happen if you give licenses to Nigerians who have the capacity to take in a crude and refine? This is not a rocket science. Former President Obasanjo came in when this communication was, for the highest, the rich. You can't afford to buy the phone or even the SIM card. But when he liberalized it, the difference is clear. Everybody affords a phone now. They even SIM can be dashed to you free of charge. If this refining is liberalized, there will be a stage when people will be begging you to come to my area and buy fuel, this fuel where you're seeing now.
So it means that there will be difference in the pump price. This particular station might be selling a different at a different rate, and the other one selling at a different rate. And at this point, when we are talking about Dangote refinery, why still licensing more oil importers?
That's where I'm going. Because, for instance, even with Dangote being there for now, even if he's on stream, that's there's tendency for monopoly. Mm-hmm. Where I'm going is that the federal government license more Nigerians who have their bill. This Chief Enukeme, Tony Mars, was always calling for him to be given license. These people were holding it. That he need to go into refining, and so many others. But this cabal were always truncating the idea, because they know if this comes in, that their business will close. So the present federal government, led by President Tinubu, should do well for the country and for Nigerians to give licenses to people who can do it. Even modular refineries, bring them together, assess them, make sure that what comes out of what they are doing is a very unadulterated fuel. And you see this fuel come to, as cheap as you can think.
Quickly, let us take the last two papers together, and that's the Nation newspaper. And the banner headline, they're still talking about the multiple dollar exchange. CBN abolishes multiple naira dollar exchange rate. And the writers there says, market-driven currency regime excites financial experts. And then we have federal government, 819 billion extra budgets littered with ghost projects. Student loan takes off in September, that's coming there. Outrage over death of 106 in Kwara boat accidents. And then we have don't shift blame for sloppy handling of your case, INEC tells LP and OB's lawyers. And then quickly, let's see what we have on The Guardian. And Naira slums as CBN commences rates harmonization, faces supply hurdle. And then INEC LP bicker over subpoena as OB tenders IREV reports. FG to begin disbursement of students' loans in September. Outrage as Kano government demolishes multi-million naira monument. And DSS invites suspended EFCC chairman. AMCON's bid to return Arik Air to founder falls twice over 240.3 billion debts. Kenyan president wants less circulation of dollar in Africa. And then we have a picture of the FX markets from the time of President Obasanjo down to Tinubu, and you can see the difference there in the rate of the dollar. Quickly, Ejike, which of these stories would you want to delve into?
Look at the Nation. The issue of the boat mishap in Kwara is something that
we are seeing conflicting figures, 114 in some papers, 106 in others.
Well, whatever it is, 100 and something Nigerians have gone down riding on a boat to attend their wedding. These are avoidable deaths. If there was a bridge across that river and vehicles running, I'm not sure 100 people will get into a boat. Where all this boat and canoe and all of this becomes the means of transport is because the bridges that we should have, we don't have it. So let's not blame the devil for these things. Let's not blame the devil. You know, I read one book about one white man said, keep the devil out of the room. There are things you can do and, keep the devil outside. If I came here with a dog, I'll probably keep the dog outside. We can build a system and keep the devil outside. And these people are going to a wedding. From what I either coming back from a wedding or so. If there was a bridge, if there was a means of going to where they were going, different from packing themselves inside a boat or a canoe, I'm sure they would have taken that option. I get my point. They were taking that option. If there was no bridge across the Niger and you want to go to Asaba, what do you do?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but we still have road accidents, we still have accidents.
Yes.
Another thing I'm just trying to put is that people should also be careful and know if, just like the guest we have yesterday, say if the boat was water worthy.
Is a case of blaming the victim.
No, I'm just saying everyone should just be careful. I understand what you're saying is true, and then everyone has to be careful. 106 in a boat.
I've seen that.
Not a big one, a boat.
And also,
all at the same time.
Like you're saying.
So we just have to be careful.
Water word, yeah. The
water wordiness.
The water wordiness. Is there any?
That's like a waterways authority.
It governance. There's an item that is provided to some people who are going through life jacket. Thank you. Okay. I don't see it there for emergencies. Because so that's part of the road water wordiness.
Now I said there are agencies of government that sometimes they hide somewhere, don't do their job, and then go back. So it's the National Inland Waterways Authority. That agency exists to deal with stuff like this.
Okay, we can't continue because of want of time. I want to say a very big thank you to both of you for joining us today. Thank you so much, Ejikeme Onuchukwu, our public affairs analyst. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
And also to you, Sejari Ubudu. Thank you.
It's always my pleasure being here to, exchange ideas.
All right, that's it on Press Review. I want to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on today's edition of our Press Review. Thank you. My name is Chidima Orama.
And I'm Majuruchuko Okagwe. Thank you.
See you at the other side.